Hello, I'm Professor Simon Hazlitt, and I'm here on the north coast of Penang Island in Malaysia, facing out to the north to the Straits of Malacca and then into the Andaman Sea and of course the Indian Ocean beyond. Now, in 2004, on the 26th of December, the Indian Ocean suffered a huge tsunami that affected the coast right around the Indian Ocean. Now that tsunami was triggered by an earthquake offshore Sumatra, the island in Indonesia. Now that earthquake generated a tsunami that was up to 30 meters high in Banda Aceh. It reached the shores of India and Sri Lanka of heights of around 10 meters, and similarly in Thailand. Now the coast of Malaysia, which from this point runs northwards up to Thailand, received lower waves because it is to some extent sheltered by Indonesia, the island of Sumatra to the west, and the earthquake was on the other side of the island. So the tsunami actually had to refract around Sumatra and come down through into the Straits of Malacca from the Andaman Sea direction to the north. Now, clearly, we know that that tsunami claimed the lives of nearly 250,000 people. Now, those fatalities were mainly in Indonesia, in India, and in Thailand. And thankfully, Malaysia escaped somewhat from the fatalities. Unfortunately, it still suffered over 60 fatalities, and 50 of them at least were here in the island of Penang. And a number of those fatalities occurred here on this beach, Miami Beach, here in the township of Batu Ferringhi, not far from Georgetown, which is to the east of here. Now, in terms of the fatalities that were caused on this beach, it was initially thought that the rocky nature of this beach, and in particular the access off the beach, was the main reason for the fatalities. And as you can see behind me here, there's quite a steep wall, which is a coastal defense to stop the cliffs eroding behind. And as you can see, it pans along. But there are occasional stairways. Perhaps we're going to have a look at this one over here. And these stairways offer a way off the beach, an evacuation route, if you like. Now that was thought to be one of the reasons why there were deaths on this beach, because people found it difficult to get up and over onto the road and out of harm's way. Now the wave that hit this beach is thought to be in the region of 3 to 4 meters high. So in fact, although we think it did arrive at about 1:30 in the afternoon on the 26th of December 2004, when the tide was roughly at its high tide level, it did mean that the wave was able to get over the roads in many places along this coastline. And to the east here in Georgetown, a place called Gurney Drive, it covered the walkways there with mud and sand. So it's about a 3 to 4 meter high wave, which is, if you're on the beach, that's certainly very, very dangerous. Now, although this embankment and the walls behind is thought to have been perhaps a reason why there were deaths on this beach, it subsequently came to light after the event from eyewitnesses that came forward to say that they saw the people who were using this beach, the tourists, the beach users from the hotels behind, they actually went down to the sea. People saw them go down to the sea, chasing fish is one of the quotes, as the water receded as the tsunami approached. Because generally before any tsunami, the water level drops to unusually low levels before the crest of the tsunami arrives. And we think that's what happened here. The water levels dropped But tourists, rather than evacuating the beach and fleeing the risk, they actually went down into the area that was left dry to look at fish. And of course, once they committed themselves to doing that, they would not outrun the tsunami when it actually arrived at the beach. So those people, unfortunately, perhaps died not because of the difficult access off the beach, but because of a lack of education. That when you see the sea recede, you should retreat, because that normally heralds a tsunami coming in. Now, in 2005, the Department for Irrigation and Drainage, who are in Malaysia responsible for coastal protection, did issue a report to say that hotels, beach resorts should put up ample warning of tsunami hazards in areas affected by that 2004 tsunami. Now, the types of information that would be needed in terms of educating the public that might be using the beach are things like the telltale signs of the water receding, and once that happens to evacuate the beach. Or if you feel an earth tremor at the coast, is once again to evacuate the beach and to get to higher ground. Now, I've had a quick look along the seafront here on Miami Beach, and also in some of the information boards of the hotels behind. And on none of them do I see the word tsunami. There is a lifeguard station up there which warns people about high surf and how that can be of risk to beach users. But nowhere are tsunami mentioned. Nowhere is the sign of a retreating waterline mentioned as a risk, as a signature for an approaching tsunami. So if a tsunami was to happen again here in the future, it might be that the public using this beach would still not be educated to the signs of a tsunami approaching, and may do exactly the same. They may go down to the water as it recedes to look at the fish that are exposed. Now, one would hope, with all the media attention since the 2004 tsunami, and indeed since the 2011 Japan tsunami, that the public are much more aware of tsunami risks and would react appropriately. But it is a little bit disappointing for me to come to a place like this where I know people have lost their lives to tsunami, still not to find sufficient information warning the public about the signatures, the telltale signs of a tsunami, so that we may better help prevent the loss of life.